I'm Vicki Asakura. The two dolls that I brought are dolls that were made by my paternal grandmother, Vicki Kuniyuki, while she was at Minidoka. My understanding is probably my grandmother at the time would have been in maybe her 50s while she was incarcerated. Having worked hard during her time as an immigrant in this country, I am told that probably while at camp, unfortunately, was the first time that she actually had free time to partake in more leisurely activities and cultural activities such as doll making. It's my understanding that she learned how to make dolls from Mrs. Kokita, who is well known for her doll making skills in this area. The hair of the doll appears to be made from embroidery thread, and the hands look like they're pieces of paper rolled together to form fingers. So it's interesting how people were very creative when they lacked the traditional materials of making dolls. This particular doll is wearing a kimono, and I don't know where the fabric came from, but I imagine that people did have fabric and use them to make kimonos. And then the second doll represents a girl, and you can tell by the hairstyle, and she also was dressed in a kimono, and her obi is one that reflects that of a younger person. I don't know if there was any particular training. I don't believe that she had any specific training in that, because when she came, I think after coming here, they spent a lot of time raising children or working. They've had a number of businesses, a barber shop, they had a hotel. They had the Wilshire Hotel on 7th in Virginia, which they owned just immediately before incarceration. So by the time I was old enough to understand, she was probably in her 60s and 70s, and her English was limited, so words were probably a mixture of Japanese and English. And when I was younger, we didn't necessarily have an interest in things of this sort, and people didn't really talk that much about their experience while being incarcerated at Minidoka, and it wasn't until after the redress movement that you began to hear more stories. We had an apartment that we grew up in after World War II, and so they lived in the unit across from us, so we saw them frequently. The dolls were at their house. They had a glass cabinet that where the dolls were, and it's a vivid memory still of seeing them in that cabinet. No, I never saw her doing any kind of doll making. The only other thing that I remember is going to Bonadori with her and going